Here's something you probably did not expect to hear, arguably ever. A sitting congressman wants the president of the United States investigated for threatening an American state, specifically Donald Trump's threat to the state of Alaska. We're now learning more about the nature of the threats that were issued by the Interior Secretary, Ryan Zinke, to Alaska Senators Lisa Murkowski and Dan Sullivan last week. This was all related to the Obamacare repeal vote. Lisa Murkowski ultimately voted against Obamacare repeal. And we've heard from Dan Sullivan, the other senator, Republican senator from Alaska, about the nature of the threats that were received. And Dan Sullivan said, "I'm not going to go into the details, but I fear that the strong economic growth, pro-energy, pro-mining, pro-jobs, and personnel from Alaska who are part of those policies are going to stop. I tried to push back on behalf of all Alaskans. We're facing some difficult times, and there's a lot of enthusiasm for the policies that Secretary Zinke and the president have been talking about with regard to our economy, but the message was pretty clear. The idea being that federal aid was being threatened. Raul Grijalva, who's the senior Democrat on the House of Representatives Committee on Natural Resources, says he is asking the Government Accountability Office to investigate the allegations against the Interior Secretary. Threatening to punish your rivals as political blackmail is something that we would see from, it's going to sound kind of weird, from the Kremlin in Russia. Secretary Zinke's willingness to deliver these threats says a lot about the sort of ethical and moral standards that we're seeing from this administration. And Rachel Maddow pointed this out late last week. People went to jail for Bridgegate, right? That was where Republican New Jersey Governor Chris Christie and his allies really were involved in shutting down lanes on the George Washington Bridge. And that actually that was for political retribution in 2013. And it led to the death of a woman who needed an ambulance. 2 people went to prison for that. This is threatening an entire state's federal aid over a Senate vote.
It does sound to me like Trump and Zinke's threats completely backfired here, not only because you might have investigations or even indictments that come out of this, but also because the Obamacare repeal vote failed miserably. And Murkowski was put into a position where she had to vote no on those because otherwise it would look as if she was bullied into just accepting whatever Trump was saying, right? So she had to stand up for herself to not look weak.
If the news of this threat leaked, despite her voting no, it's very likely it would have leaked if she had voted yes. And then she would have had to explain, wait a second, you were a no for a while, you get this threat, and then now you vote yes.
And then you back down.
That's a whole new set of problems. And I want to be really clear. The follow-through as to whether they actually do anything to Alaska's federal aid, it doesn't matter. It's like when Trump Jr. met with the Russian lawyer in Trump Tower. Whether or not he got the dirt on Hillary Clinton is not relevant. What matters is, did he intend to collude and receive things of value from a foreign hostile power? The threat here to hurt Alaska is the scandal. And in the midst of all the other scandals, this is barely registered. Like, we did a story last week, Pat, and it got about 62,000 views on YouTube. There's so much else going on that the president threatening one of the 50 states of the United States of America is not even making the news that it warrants.
I mean, there's just so much news and we couldn't possibly cover all of it, especially because, of course there's scandals, but you want to focus on the issues that really impact Americans day to day.
And
some things just have to get filtered out.
Alaska is currently seeking federal permission to expand oil drilling in the National Petroleum Reserve. And there are fears that the White House might block that as retribution. Is that a possible silver lining? Like, maybe despite a completely ridiculous and capricious threat against the state of Alaska, they might prevent Alaska from doing more drilling that would be bad for the environment. Have I found something of a silver lining here?
I don't know. And let's remember that Trump won Alaska, too. It's not like Chris Christie trying to get retribution on the counties that he lost in New Jersey.
It's very weird. It's very, very weird. And I hope that there is an investigation. I support Congressman Grijalva's call for one.